welcome to another episode. My name is Rhona and I'm your host for this morning, and I have my co-host Geraldine with me. Hello, Geraldine, how are you?
Good morning. How are you, Ron? I'm fine. I'm not too bad at all.
Jolly good, jolly good. We're going to do it a little differently today, because
Okay.
Geraldine's going to be interviewing me, and we're going to be on the topic of how to I don't know, how to heal after hysterectomy, and how to just kind of, because I actually went through the process. So Geraldine's going to be doing the interviewing, and she's going to be asking me questions about how I did and how I coped after having hysterectomy, just to let people know about what my process was, and if maybe people can learn from my process and get something from it. So over to you, Geraldine. What would your first question be?
All right. Well, the first question I would ask you, I mean, I know, but to help people understand this, what actually led to your decision in regards to actually having a hysterectomy?
Well, I had a hysterectomy because I got fibroids.
Okay.
And what happened was, when I found out I had fibroids, I was told they were like the size of cherry tomatoes. Don't worry about it, they'll probably disappear. And roughly 2 to 3 years later, they were size of 3 or 4 grapefruits. And that's what actually led to me having a hysterectomy. I think a lot of what the information I had was very limited, because I mean, the internet's not like the internet now. I mean, we're talking nearly a decade ago. So it's very different. I didn't have access to the information I have now. And I didn't know at the time, because I have been a pescatarian. I think I was pescatarian for about 20 years by then. So I was only eating fish and like I was eating meat and things like that. But I was eating a lot of soya. So I would eat soya mince. My milk would have soy in it. A lot of foods I ate had soy in it, because it was replacement. It was like a replacement for meat. And what I didn't know at the time was that when you consume a lot of soya actually increases the estrogen in your body. And when it increases the estrogen, if you have anything in your body, it will just make it bigger. That's what estrogen does. Estrogen, because women have a lot more estrogen during the time they're pregnant, because
Right.
the growth of their child. So I was eating this food, and because I had fibroids, it was just making it bigger and bigger and bigger. So it led to me going to the doctor. My menstrual cycle was totally off the wall, and my fibroids, as I said, was the size of 3 or 4 grapefruits, and it was like, you have a choice. We can actually blast them, but we cannot give you the guarantee that this will not continue, or you could have a hysterectomy. And I chose to go down the hysterectomy route, because even though they did give me a choice, you kind of felt like you had no choice. It was like, this is what you got to do. Otherwise, you're going to be suffering this. This can come back and you can start suffering it anymore. And I think it wasn't just the physical, like going through the menstrual cycle, but it was also the psychological, and not being able to sit down, and the worry and all that type of stuff. And it was like, I just couldn't go through it anymore. So that's kind of the path I took, and I decided to go for a hysterectomy. I will say, in having a hysterectomy, I do remember the day after I had the operation, um, I remember being in the hospital ward, and sitting on a chair, and like really, like being really, really emotional. And I remember saying that I was in pain. I remember another patient coming to me and asking me what was wrong, and I said I was in pain. And she said to me, um, maybe I should go and ask for some type of medication, like a painkiller or something like that. And I said to her, well, it's not that kind of pain. And I think there was a kind of loss about having your womb removed, and that I had to go through that physically and that emotionally. And that was a process that I had to kind of go through. And it didn't just end with having the hysterectomy. I think it kind of continued afterwards. And it's not just about the physical. Sometimes people think, okay, when you have sometimes something happen to you, it's just about the physical. It's also about the emotional and how you have to cope through that. But my reasons were because I have fibroids, and a lot of women go through that process of having fibroids or endometriosis, or all those type of things, leading to them having hysterectomies and things like that.
Okay. Now I know like we're talking mostly about like having a hysterectomy, but let me just ask you, you talk about the emotions you had after the hysterectomy, but at the same time, what was the feeling that you had even like before? Because you're telling me you were told like your fibroids the size of cherries, they became the size of grapefruits, right? And then that to me is an emotional thing as well, where you know that you have all this now that's in your mind that you have to do something about the situation at hand. And then you're then giving more options on top of like you can do this, you can do that, you can do this and whatever. I mean, how were you really feeling at that time? Because to me, that sounds like really overwhelming. And did you get the support that you needed from maybe even like the medical people and the advice that you think you needed at the time to maybe be able to make the right decision?
I think you kind of like you're in the doctor's surgery and you're kind of given this option, and it's like, okay, we can blast them, and they can come back, and they make it very clear they can come back, or you can have a hysterectomy. And at the time, because of what I was going through physically, it was like, I can't deal with this anymore. I
Okay.
mean, I had situations where I was living in Leighton at the time. And I remember Walthamstow was the beginning of the Victoria line, and I was going to Finsbury Park. And it was about, I don't know, 8 or 9 stops. So, but we were the first people on the train. And I remember going to work first thing in the morning and not taking a seat, like standing up in the train, because I was so afraid of what could happen on the way to work. So when you're going through all of that, it was almost like hysterectomy. Oh my God, this is like a relief. It's almost like, okay, once I do this, I won't have to deal with that anymore. I won't have to worry. Every time I sit down on a chair, I won't have to look back at the chair anymore. You kind of, all of that is just like, okay, that's going to go. So once that's gone, you think that it's going to be better and everything's going to be sorted. So there's all of that worry. I remember, I think one of the main things about going to have hysterectomy, I remember I used to go to the gym. As you know, I go to the gym quite a bit. And
Right.
I was in the gym and we were doing stretches at the end and we were on our stomachs. And
Yeah.
I remember that I was, my legs and the top of my body was off the ground because my stomach was, so I was
Yeah.
like that. It's kind of like cave. And I was like,
Wow.
and you could like feel it. You could feel something pushing. And it was
Yeah.
like, I've got to do something about this. I can't be, I can't be doing this.
Yes,
And
man. Yeah.
in hindsight, when I think back of what I went through, because I kind of coped with it. We find coping mechanisms of having to deal with it. And I kind of coped with it for over 2, 3 years. And I'm in hindsight, it was like, it was madness. When I go through my, I don't know, my handbags, like the bag I'll take to go shopping, or the bag I'll take to go to the gym, or the bag I'll take to work, every single bag had some type of sanitary
Okay.
in them all the time.
Yeah.
Everything. There was
Yeah.
always loads and loads and loads of sanitary, towels and whatnot in them. So it was when I thought at the time when I was having hysterectomy, it was almost like, yes, let's just do this and just stop. This will all
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, no problem. I understand. My goodness, that's a lot, man. But what was the recovery process like for you in regards to, I mean, that's a major operation. How long did it take to heal and stuff like afterwards?
Um, my physical outside healing happened quite quickly. So it took about two or
Right.
3 weeks. I was healed outside. I remember going to see the doctor. Actually, mum was with me at the time, and I went to see the doctor, and she said, and this is like slash in the stomach, big staples in your stomach. It's not like what they do now, and I remember the doctor saying, you can take staples out, you've healed. But healing, that's healing on the outside. There's a difference between healing on the outside and
Yeah,
healing on the inside.
yeah, yeah.
And there was also the, it's like certain times you'd move and you'd feel it. All of a sudden you just feel a sharp pull and you'd be like, oh, like, you'd almost take a breath because of it. I do remember actually when we came back from the hospital, dad was driving us home, and every time he went over a pebble, I was like,
Yeah,
whoa,
yeah,
whoa.
yeah,
I could feel everything, every single
yeah,
like
yeah,
little pebble, like stop. It
yeah,
was just, and I was tied down, and I had a cushion on top of me underneath the seatbelt, and it was just,
yeah.
yeah, it was definitely a process to go through. I
Okay.
think I think for any operation, gearing up for any operation, you have to make sure that you are at your healthiest, no matter what your health is like. You have to make sure that you are at your healthiest. So, I
Right.
mean, I don't drink and stuff like that. So I didn't have that kind of issue. I don't smoke and all that, because smoking apparently takes you can't heal if you're smoking. It takes even longer for you to heal and things like that.
Okay.
But I was doing a lot of juicing and green juicing. I've been, and I still am actually anemic, but my biggest fear was that they said like they had to test my blood because they might have to give me blood during the operation. And I was like, no, because I'm a bit, I've got a bit of a thing about having other people's blood, because I'm like, I saw a movie about some man who gave blood and he was a criminal, and then the person that got the blood turned into a criminal. So I was like, I was doing everything in my power to make sure that my iron was as high as I could possibly get it, so that I wouldn't have to have any blood transfusion or anything like that. So but you have to, you really do have to, especially when you have surgery, you have to make sure that you are at your healthiest. No matter what your health is, you don't have to, whatever your health is, it is, but you have to make sure that you're at your healthiest, because it does help with the healing process and all that. I think the worst thing I got after I had the hysterectomy was I was constipated, and that was based on the medication I was taking, the painkillers, because when you take all these painkillers all together, it can make you constipation, and constipation is just like, you don't like that at all. It's just horrible, especially if you're physically, you still got pain from the hysterectomy, and then you're constipated on top. Not a nice place. Not a nice place to be at all.
All right. Well, as you know, I've had a couple of C-sections, and my last C-section was like about, well, the youngest is like 19 this year, but up to now, I still feel twinges in the cut. Do you still get that many years after the hysterectomy? Are you still feeling little twinges and stuff?
No, I did. I think I was no, I don't get that.
I
think I did after 5 to 10 years. After 5 years, I would say yes, I was still getting that. But now I don't get it so much. I do, as you know, I work out quite a bit. I'm very conscious of my stomach, and I'm very conscious of having a hysterectomy. Post hysterectomy, I did a lot of reading about how you have to be careful, because you're more likely to have a prolapse if you've got too much weight around there, because you don't have a womb there anymore, and all these other things that can come as a kind of after effect of a hysterectomy. So even though I don't think I was as up to speed at the time of having the hysterectomy, I'm definitely well up to speed at the time of after hysterectomy, and what things that can happen to you after a hysterectomy. So I'm very cautious about that. And I think one of the things they made you do when I was in hospital, and one of the things I still do quite a bit, is I do a lot of walking, and walking was like the most essential thing to do, to make sure especially after the hysterectomy, to make sure that you are up and you are holding yourself up, and you are able to hold yourself up, because it's very easy to just, that's when people start getting curvature in the back, because they're always bending forward, because they're, the pain is holding them and all that kind of thing. So I think, and it's not just, I think there's a kind of 3-way process. So there's before, which I didn't think I had all the information I needed to before I went into the hysterectomy, to be fair. There's during, and then there's after. And even though I'm talking 10 years, I'm still living after a hysterectomy. When you have a hysterectomy, your body goes straight into menopause. Now, I was fortunate that menopause hasn't affected me that badly. Officially, I should be out of menopause now. Officially, although I still get warm sometimes, very warm sometimes. But I've never had any of the really bad effects of menopause. Apart from that one time, I think, when we went to this museum.
I remember you say that, but to me, I saw something. But anyway,
apart from that, I don't think I've had any situations with menopause. So I was a bit hot there. I don't know why I got so
I was a bit hot there, yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah.
But I just have to, and I do have to be careful, because I don't, like, for instance, I'm a bit of a figurey young lady, and when you carry more weight on yourself, that's when you're more prone to having things like prolapse and all this type of thing. So I have to be very careful that those type of things don't happen, and I have to be careful. I'm forever doing pelvic exercises. Is something that I do. I didn't used to do it before my hysterectomy, but I'm consciously doing it on a daily basis these days, because I'm just making sure that I don't, because that's what has to, you have to keep that firm, so the rest of your body can be held up, because you literally lose an organ in your body. So what that organ used to do, apart from carry a baby, but that organ used to be in a place where everything else used to be holding certain things up, and now it's not there anymore.
Blocks.
Right. And it's not there anymore. It's been removed. So I have to be making sure that everything around it is strong enough to stay up.
All right. Okay. Now you've talked now a bit about the physical and the physical changes. Do you find that there's been any changes to like your femininity as this has happened?
Um, I don't I don't think so. I don't. Somebody might tell me different, but I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think maybe I struggled with the fact that, okay, now you've had a hysterectomy, there's no chance of you having a child ever. I think that
Mm,
kind of did play on my mind for a bit, but I
right.
don't think it has changed me, you know, in my own feminine energy and stuff like that. No, I don't think so. I think I'm pretty much the same.
All right. I
I'm pretty
think
much
the
the
same. I don't think you've changed, to be quite honest.
I think I'm pretty much the same.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, cool. What about your energy levels, your mood? Do you get mood swings, anything like that relating to it?
I don't see now. I can't say that's the hysterectomy. I do have good moods and I do have bad moods, but I
Okay.
can't say that's the hysterectomy because, as you
Okay.
know, I'm 52 years old.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
there's a lot of changes going on in me anyway. So I don't
Mm,
know if that it could be. It could be. I know, like I've had since the hysterectomy, I've had lapses. Like I'm a gym buddy. I love going to the gym. I love working out.
right,
I've had
right.
lapses where I just don't touch workout for like months. I've
Okay.
been go like 2 months and I haven't gone to the gym. I
Mm.
think I mean I'll be honest with you, since COVID I still work out, but I haven't joined a gym, which is like rare for me
Yeah,
because COVID
yeah,
was
because you
years
lived
ago.
in the gym, my girl, I remember.
You know, I don't know about lived in the gym. You take it a little bit too far. You take it that a little bit too far. Okay? But I have to admit, COVID did a bit of a number on me because being stuck in your house kind of
Yeah,
like it made me a bit paranoid. So it's like when I go to the gym, do I have to be carrying a spray bottle with me, spraying
right.
everything down before I use it, and spraying everything down after I use it? And
Okay,
so
so
I haven't actually joined the gym since. And
mm,
I seem to be making excuses in my mind, and I'm like, why are you making all these excuses? So I'm not saying it's not. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with COVID, but it might have something also to do with having my hysterectomy. Although I was still going to the gym after my hysterectomy because at the time I was doing a lot of Zumba prior, and I still
mhm,
went and did Zumba afterwards. So.
All right. Now you talked about a lot of things that happened to you since having the hysterectomy and such likes. But I mean, there are some kind of misconceptions that come along with what will happen to women, you know what I mean, when they get have a hysterectomy and such likes. Do you believe that a lot of the popular ones actually affected you at any time?
No, no,
Okay.
I don't. I don't think they've got some idea. Like I read somewhere that they reckon women become butcher after they've had a
Right.
hysterectomy.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
become they become burly. No, that's a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
A load of rubbish. But for me, it's rubbish. I don't know. Other people might say that's their experience, but for me, that's
Yeah.
nonsense. Yeah.
All right.
Yes, I'm not saying it doesn't have an effect on you psychologically because no longer can you have a child. That is,
Yes,
and
yes,
you have
yes,
to go
yes.
through the whole kind of loss of losing your womb. But I
Right.
don't think I honestly don't think people become less of women or anything like that. No.
Okay.
And the amount of I was surprised when I had my hysterectomy of the amount of women I read about who had
Mm.
hysterectomies because I thought I was quite young because I was 42 when I had it. There are people having hysterectomies in their 20s because they've had some
Yeah,
kind of medical,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know, there's you got young girls who
yeah,
haven't even started their periods yet who are
yeah,
having hysterectomy because of some kind
yeah.
of medical issue. So, and
Mm.
I didn't, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't even know that existed. I
Yeah,
thought,
yeah.
wow, yeah, so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot, and that's the truth of the matter. Is a lot of times when things are happening to you, and you're thinking that, you know what I mean, you're basically one of I don't know, a set of people that are going through, as you say, at a younger age and whatever. And it's amazing that when you do your research, you realize how many other people are being affected exactly the same way, or even to a extent even more so than you are being affected by the thing that you're going through. And it's amazing when that comes about and the realization hits. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
But what advice would you give to people then, to women who are preparing for to have a hysterectomy and such likes? And what is there, do you think there's things that maybe their loved ones can do for them to help support them?
Um, First thing I would say, if you're being told you're going to have a hysterectomy, make sure the hysterectomy is what that is needed.
Right.
If there's another way, because I honestly think if I had changed my diet, I
Yeah.
might have been able to avoid it. I honestly
Okay.
believe that. I might have
Okay.
been able to regulate my periods. I might have been able to do things with my diet that might
Yeah.
have been able
Yeah.
to change what
Yeah.
could have happened. So I would say, and there's so much information out there now. There's so
Yeah.
much like
Yeah.
and it's so easy accessible because you can just look on your phone now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I
Yeah.
would also say that people need to connect about it. Because I think, I mean, like it's like when we talked about the conversation about perimenopause, it's like people talking to other people, because sometimes when you're going through something, you think you're the only person going through that thing. And there is millions of people going through
Yeah.
exactly the same thing as you at exactly the same time as you. So I think it's really important for people to start connecting and talking to people. I think I mean I was lucky when I had my hysterectomy, mum and dad came down during the time. So I had family around. I think physically it was like I wouldn't have been able to have it and not have somebody. I mean, I don't know how I would have got from the hospital. Like I
Yeah.
don't know,
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to have people around you that would care for you during that period of time. The time I took off work, I was off work for about 6 to 8 weeks. I was off work for before I went back to work. Um, and it's really funny because when I went back to work, they were like, "Oh, Rhona, were you on holiday?" And I was like, "No, I work in a school," because it was during school time, and they were, and people were like, "Oh, we thought you were on holiday," because people didn't actually know that I'd gone off to have an
Yeah.
operation,
Yeah.
and because of my personality and the way I am,
Yeah.
people kind of when I told them what I'd gone through, it was like,
Yeah.
really? Like, they
Yeah.
were almost
Yeah.
mortified.
Yeah.
But I guess that just goes with my personality, because I remember pre my hysterectomy, I had to have a I don't remember what it's called, where they put the camera inside of you.
Yeah.
And I remember going for that certain procedure, and they put me under. They had to put me under
Yeah.
to do it. So I had to go under to do it. So I
Yeah.
went under. I came back to the ward, and this woman was talking to me, and I was like talking. I was like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Did they just have you under?" Believe me. I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Were you under? You look like you're so jolly and everything." I said, "Oh yeah." I said, "I'm just like that." I am, don't worry about it. But yeah. I was totally unconscious when they did the thing. So I think sometimes it's just my personality that kind of
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's got
Yeah.
nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah.
I do say make sure that you do take care of yourself after a hysterectomy. Make
Mm.
sure that you are doing your exercises, as small as they are, pelvic exercises, even if it's just pelvic exercises. But like, I mean, since my hysterectomy, I exercise every day. I don't work out. Sometimes I don't work out, but I will always try to do pelvic exercises and things like that. It's
Okay.
really, really important, because I can't be doing this prolapse business. When you hear about people who've had a prolapse and this has fallen and that has nah, that's just another headache. I can't be going through them things. So
Okay.
it's just about taking care of yourself. And
Yeah.
it's really funny. They talk about the foods you should eat and the things you should do. It's the same foods they say you should eat if you want to be healthy. It's the same foods they say if you don't want to get high blood pressure. It's the same, it's the same thing. It's the same, it's nothing different, Stay away from ready-made meals, stay away from sugar, eat greens
Same
and
kind of stuff.
vegetables,
Yeah. Yeah.
fruits.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's nothing different.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
different.
Okay. Were there any like resources and books and websites and anything like that that actually helped you at all when you were going through this?
It's funny you should say that. I think I've got the
Okay.
book. Let me see if I've got the book here. I've got this book. It's old book though. Oh my god, it's about like how. Oh, let me see if I've got it here. Yes, I have. Old book. It is 100 handy hints for a happy hysterectomy.
Oh,
This
for a
book,
happy hysterectomy. All right.
yes, yes. This book is so old though. My God, but it was done in 2005.
All
So
right.
it's really a whole book. I got it off of Amazon.
Oh,
Actually, it was quite good. It was quite good and it was quite helpful.
yeah.
But I knew nothing. I knew
Okay.
nothing. And as I said, when I had the hysterectomy, it wasn't like what the internet's like now.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
can just type in what is a hysterectomy like on ChatGPT and it will tell you the stuff. You know what I mean? You didn't have that.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So there's so
Okay.
many things that, and plus mummy had had hysterectomy prior,
Okay.
so she kind of shared her knowledge about what it was like, what she
Yeah.
physically went through.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Shared knowledge is
yeah.
a wonderful thing. And shared knowledge is a wonderful thing. Because
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, even in regards, going back to the fibroids, even in regards to the fibroids, as you know, I have fibroids. And when as I had the 2 C-sections with Simeon is when I had like the big one out. So but they have told me since that I have had small fibroids, but I find they have stayed small because I remember you gave me the warning about soya, and I was eating I was eating soya as well and stuff, and I hardly eat soya anymore. Don't partake in anything soya and whatever because I have the fibroid. So that shared knowledge is a wonderful, wonderful thing because
Yeah,
it
it is.
really,
It
it's
really
good
is.
to
And
talk.
like
To talk,
I
yeah.
even I do remember for a brief time I went on and this was when Google was doing something. I went on a Google chat group after I had the hysterectomy, and it was for women who had had hysterectomies, and people were talking about it. And actually that's where I learned that people were so young, like really young people were having them. So
Okay.
it's really, as you say, it's really good to be able to share your
Yeah.
experience, listen to other people's experience, and
Mm.
you learn things all the time,
Okay.
and it's all about learning things all the time.
All
Definitely.
right. Okay. Well, that's brilliant. I think we have informed wonderfully, Rona. What do you think?
Yes, we have. And Geraldine, I thank you deeply for asking me these questions today and having this
Very welcome.
conversation with me today. So
Okay.
Geraldine, thank you very much. This has been a wonderful session,
All
and I
right.
will see you again next time.
No
Bye
problem.
for
Do
now.
take care. Bye for now, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
What about relationship?
And welcome to another episode. And my name is Rhona. I'm your host, and I'm with my co-host today, Geraldine. Geraldine, hello. Nice to see you again.
Hello, Rona. It's always a pleasure to get on here and have a little chat with you. Yeah.
Okay, and today we're going to talk about relationships.
All right, cool.
I think for me, when I listen to particularly social media and things like that, and they talk about relationships, and there seems to be a bit of I don't know, a kind of altercation between men and women in the world today. It's
Oh,
almost like they're trying to separate men and women, and
yeah.
they're like the women are in their masculine and the men are too feminine. And I mean, what are your thoughts on those type of things that's being said out there today?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not men are too feminine, just I don't understand what that means. And women are in their masculine. I find it's a bit it's a what I don't I'll be honest with you, Ron, yeah. Even the concepts of what is being said, I'm not totally understanding what exactly they're trying to say. Because a lot of the things, I mean, we discussed it yesterday, and even in the thing of women in their masculine, a lot of things that people list about what women do that proves they're in their masculine, things that when you and I were brought up, our father, because we 2 girls together, we didn't have any brothers. And remember, Daddy always said, you have to be able to take care of yourself. You have to be able to look after yourself. Don't, you're not really dependent on anybody, so that when you go out in the world, you're okay. But at the same time, you still make an allowance. You have to make an allowance to understand that if a male role or a male figure comes into your life, they still do what they have to do, I guess, as a man. I don't understand how they've categorized women just being able to support themselves and looking after themselves as being a masculine. I don't understand. To me, that's you
Yeah,
being a person. Because you
yeah.
have to,
I think
it's a big world. You have to be able to look after yourself, you know? So it's like, what?
yes. I think it's really strange because, like, as you know, I'm single, and
Yeah,
I pay my own mortgage. When I had
right.
the car, I paid for my own car. So that, in a sense, that would be classified as me
Yeah.
being in my masculine. And for
Mhm.
me, that's me doing what I got to do at the moment. That's my
That's what
circumstance.
it is.
My
Yeah.
circumstances, that's what I need to do. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
going to do.
Yes.
Um, and I think they've taken it to a place where I mean, I understand what you say, not understanding it, because they've taken it to a place where it almost is like, well, what is masculinity and femininity? What does that really mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
redefined it. They've completely
Yes.
redefined it.
Yeah.
I think it's really, but but in essence, it's really scary that they've redefined it, because by their definition, they're separating. They're saying, well, women have had to, I don't know, bring up their children and pay for the home and all that. And if a woman can do all that by herself, what does she need a man for? You know, and
Yeah,
it's
right.
that
Yeah.
purpose
Yeah.
of two people being
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is that just the sole purpose for him to
Yeah.
be the financial provider? Because I
Right.
get the to provide, and yes, there's a financial element to it, but I don't think that's the only element to it. I think there's a lot
No,
more
no,
than that.
exactly.
And it
Exactly.
seems that they have just that's it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. So
I mean, yeah, I mean, being married and such like, to me, the whole relationship is defined on support. Um, Being able to support each other where you need to. It's a case of, there are certain things that in the family within the house, because we're not loaded. So there's things that we both work. So there's certain things that I will pay for, and there's certain things that when he is, because he's more contracted, when he has a job coming in, that he will pay for. And it's a case of us balancing that and making sure that we both put all our energies into supporting each other and making sure that the family's okay. And I don't think he feels that it's a masculine energy or a masculineness I'm coming with when I'm like, yeah, well, I can take care of that this month. You know what I mean? It's not even about that. It's about just the family supporting each other and making sure we're okay. So this is why, to me, it's a bit of a, I'm trying to still wrap my head around exactly what it is that they're trying to say, because I've never thought of that as being a masculine, as a female, you know? It's about, as I said, to me, it's about doing, as you said, getting it done and doing what you need to do to get it done.
getting the job
That's what it
done.
is. Yeah.
If you have to do it by yourself at the time,
Yeah.
and that's your circumstances, then that should be okay.
Yes.
Um, I don't know if our attitude is different because of our age or
Yeah.
because of our culture, because
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
people from different cultures
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
views about different things. I'm not sure why that there might be a variation in it, but that might have an effect on why we
Yes.
think that way. I
Yes.
think in relationships, when you see young people today, they talk about, particularly here, young
Mm-hmm.
girls are very, very quick to
Mm-hmm.
approach young men.
Okay.
Whereas when I was growing up, it just wasn't done like that. Guys
Yeah.
would approach
Yeah.
girls,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
I guess there's been a kind of generational shift in the
Right.
way women might behave, and so
Yes.
I'm taking all those type of things into account when
Yeah.
I think about it and when I see it.
Mm.
Um, I don't, but in essence, when I see it, I think it is a bit it's putting things back. It's making things more
Mm-hmm.
difficult. Because when you
Mm-hmm.
start to do that, you start to separate men from women. You start to
Yes.
say,
Yes.
you hear there was this thing on social media where they were asking a woman, would she be more scared about being with a man or a bear? What would she choose to be alone with, a man or a bear? And the
Mm-hmm.
woman would choose the bear, apparently. It doesn't make sense. It makes no sense to me.
Did she rationalize that?
No sense. No, it was just something that was going on social media, and women were saying, which is the bear, which is the bear, which is the bear, because women think they're so afraid of men, because men are more likely to harm you
Oh
than
wow. Then a
wild
bear.
bear. Which,
Oh wow.
well, I mean, I don't know about that, but
Yeah, that would be like,
but that's
wow.
kind of the thing that was going on, and then there was the argument that, well, then men would have their thing and say, well, you can't tell a woman how you truly feel, and you can't share
Mm.
your feelings with a woman, because as soon as things are not going so right and you're in the middle of an argument or something like that, she will throw it back in your face. So
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like there's trying to be some type of separation.
Yes, yes,
And
yeah.
I worry that that societal thing is kind of happening. I really
Yeah,
do.
yeah, I understand what you
Do
mean. Yeah,
worry that
yeah,
that type of societal thing is happening. I
yeah.
also think, like, a lot of women talk about I don't know, equality in
Mm-hmm.
relationships, and I understand where they're going with it,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm like, he's a man, you're a woman. It's not going to be equal. I don't believe that if you have a
Mm-hmm.
pound of feathers and you have a pound of apples, they're equal. Yes, they're
Yeah,
both a pound, but there's
yeah.
going to be more feathers. There's going to be apples. There's gonna
Yes.
be more. It's not gonna be the
Yes.
same.
Yeah.
So when you come as the woman you are, and he comes as the man, you come differently
Yeah.
as the
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
It's different. It's
Yes.
different. It's not going to
Yeah.
be equal. You might be
No.
able to work through, but it's not going to be
Yeah.
equal. And I think sometimes
Yeah.
women harper on at this kind of, oh well, I need equality, and I
Yeah.
could do
Yeah.
this. And sometimes
Yeah.
that's not what it's about.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
And I do
Yeah.
worry that
Yeah.
that is like where people are using their that's the kind of that's what a good relationship is, when it's completely equal. And
Yeah,
yeah.
and no, then that's as I said to you, and it's not even about that. To me, it's more about the whole support issue. You know what I mean? The and I think as well that as you were saying, there's so much talk about this whole equality in relationships thing now and whatever. I'm wondering if that's not even having an effect on the demise of relationships as they stand now, because instead of trying to work with your partner to make sure that you come together and do what you have to do for the relationship to survive, for you all to survive in this world that we're having to be in, you're more focused on this whole equality thing, which to me is kind of even like non-existent, because as you say, you bring different things into the relationship, and that's what you do. I mean, no matter what relationship you have with anybody, be it even male, female, there'll always be a different dynamic because you're two different people coming into a relationship. And so with that being said, that you have to work together for it to work. And even if it's a friendship, whatever, there's going to be a compromise on some side for something and the other side for something else. So for you to be helping on about equality and the woman having to do this, I just, it's just crazy to me. It's kind of, yeah, I find like that the something's been lost, and there's an agenda being pushed, and I'm not too sure what that agenda is right now, you know. So it's yeah, it's not something that I am too, oh, what can I say, learned of, and it is something that I'm trying to wrap my head around. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally understand it. Yeah, yeah, very much so. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. As you say, I do worry that, as you say, that you put it in the right way, an agenda's being pushed. There's some underlying reason why people are focusing this way. And I know that the younger generation have like a completely different view of relationships in their
Yes.
eyes, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, very much
Yeah.
so. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a whole thing online that they talk about now about Generation X, right? Generation X, that's what we are, right? And the Generation X
Yeah.
come with we come with a understanding of, because we were just brought up tougher and harder and whatever. So what
Yeah.
I mean is, and coming from that, and it is true, because the generations after, I know people might not like to hear this, but they're a bit softer, right? But
Yeah. Gen Z can't handle, they can't
but
handle anything.
sorry, my boys. But Gen X did come with, we have a tougher shell. Now, what I'm saying is, think about it. We have the tougher shell, but you and I can still relate in regards to understanding that when it comes to, I'm not even saying there are gender roles, because I don't even like that kind of nonsense about gender roles. I just believe that when two people come together, as I keep saying over and over again, they do what they have to do. And it's got nothing to do with being stronger in a different capacity or being weaker in a different capacity. It is just about just getting on and getting the job done, you know? So with that being said, and as I said, we're two females from Gen X, man. You know what I mean? We were the kind of thing like, yeah, I ain't taking that, man. You can't tell me nothing, man. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, when you mature and you kind of think about what needs to be done for compromises to be made, for situations to fit and for relationships to fit, you have to work with people no matter what, you know? And that's what it's about, you know? So I really don't understand. As I said, I'm trying to understand, and I would wish someone would point out what the masculine energies of a woman are, and tell me exactly, because as I said, these are things, some of the pointers I have seen, these are things that when you underline them, there were things that you just did as a human being to be able to survive in the world that we're living. And I don't understand why all of a sudden this is being categorized as something, you understand?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing about men in their feminine state. because a father might come in and talk to his children now and be a bit more understanding, are you telling me that now he's just saying that he's in his feminine state instead of coming in and throwing his shoes down and going, huh, and then going to the, I don't
Yeah.
understand, to the bedroom?
Yeah.
It's crazy. You understand? We have units that we put together as families, and within those units, we have to make it work, and we have to make sure people are happy, and we have to make sure people are felt that they feel the love that is being radiated from one person in the family to the next. So that has nothing to me to do with any kind of feminine, masculine energy. That has everything to do with people being people, and supporting and loving and doing what needs to be done. Yeah.
Do you think, because you just mentioned units, do you think partly I wouldn't say the breakdown, but maybe the breakdown of relationships today is to do with the fact that we don't work so much in a unit anymore? Young people, it's all about the person, the other person, and the
Yeah.
children, as opposed to the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles, and all of that,
Yeah.
because it seems like people are kind of in there. The units are a lot smaller, so to speak, now.
That's what it is. The units are a lot smaller, and I think that maybe, and that's the same thing with a larger unit. You'll what can I say? You'll be open to seeing the different ways that many different people kind of interact to get the stuff done. When you're only thinking on a thing of four, which is true, you're kind of limiting what it is that you see as different roles. And I don't like that word either, but the different roles within within that group of people. So yes, I think that the limitation of that has had an effect. Even like my boys, they are lucky enough to have their grandparents around. So at the end of the day, it's not just our unit within the four within our house. We have the grandparents there. We have you, even though when you come in and such. So you understand there's a different way of seeing how everybody interacts to make sure things are done and the job is done and everybody is taken care of. You know what I mean? And that to me is a wonderful thing for people to see. And you're right. I think the limitations of not being able to see how different people can come in and play a significant part in making sure things work well kind of breaks down. There's limitations on people understanding the dynamics of what things could be and how they do work together and how the gears do fit in place, Yeah, I think
So
that
it
that's
might not just be the breakdowns of like personal relationships, but the
yes,
breakdowns
yes,
of relationships between
yeah,
generations.
yes,
So
very
the
true.
relationships between like the parents, the
Yeah.
children, the grandparents, all the
Mhm.
generations, the aunts, the uncles.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and I mean like the so-called Gen Z seem to think some of them seem to think, not all of them, I won't speak for all of them, but some of them
Yeah.
seem to think they're the first set of people on the face of this earth. Sometimes the way they
Yes.
talk,
Yes.
there
That
was
no
nobody
one's
before.
been there before. Yes. And this
Yeah,
is this is just new to me. You
yeah.
never experienced this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, and I think once you take that into relationships,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
they're not gonna then they're
Yeah.
not gonna hear what went
Yes.
before and how
At
ancestors used to work with it and
all.
how.
At
Yeah.
all. Yes. Yeah. 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 Advice cannot be given because you do not know what it is I'm feeling and experiencing.
Yeah.
Yes, very much
Yeah.
so. Gen Z is very is a lovely set of people. But but yeah, I appreciate them. I do. I love them and I appreciate them. But yeah, it is what it
Yeah.
is. But yeah, but coming back, the whole thing of how men are perceived and females are perceived, and this new line of saying who people are because they might want to wane more to one side to another. I'm not a very individual person. I'm not a person that harpers on about as an individual, you have to respect my whatever. I'm not that kind of a person, but I am a person who will talk to you about different people have different characteristics. We all have our flaws, we all have our positives, and within that, we each do things differently. We all do. And in light of that, it's a case of people understanding how people doing things differently come into a relationship and how, and finding out how it works and how it can and how it won't work and how it fuses together and how it doesn't fuse together, you know, and us taking the time to understand people and such likes rather than labeling it as a masculine or a feminine, and you know.
I mean, going on when you talked about individual, and a lot of women have said, well, I'm an independent, I'm an independent woman, and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, I don't believe in independence anyway, because the reality is you get up and you get up and make a cup of tea in the morning. How many people have been involved in that? From the people that carpet, from the water coming into your house. You know, unless you're living out in the Amazon with nothing but the,
on
you know
your
what I mean?
own, hunting yourself.
It doesn't exist. So it's all a bit of a fallacy. Like, oh, I'm an independent person. No, you're not independent. So many people have been involved in being able to get out of your bed. You know, who made the mattress? Who, you know what I mean? No, it doesn't happen. But and I think we have to be I think women have to be very, very careful about this whole type of independent, I'm an independent woman. It's not real. It's a bit of a fallacy. And people, as you say, I think people are selling it for an agenda. And there is something, there's a reason behind it. Well, Geraldine, oh my God, it's starting to rain by you.
Actually, the rain. So
I can see that. I can see that. Anyway.
And it has decided not to be very quiet.
Yeah. Well, I can't hear it, but I can see it.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. As long as it's not disturbing us. All right.
Cool. No. Anyway, Geraldine, thank you so much for having this conversation with me today.
Oh, very welcome. It's been wonderful.
It's been great. It's been great having this conversation with you today. And I will see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Rhona's journey starts today.